Top 4 Most Valuable Commemorative Quarter-Dollar Coins. Welcome to Numismatic Vault Extra. Today, we're exploring the top 4 most valuable commemorative quarter-dollar coins from the United States of America, United States. In this video, we'll break down their current market values, highlight notable era coins, and explain the specific conditions that make certain quarters especially rare, including silver content and unique color shades that have become major players in the coin collector and investor world. These rare treasures are more than just pieces of history. They're some of the most valuable coins collectors are actively searching for today. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or someone who appreciates the beauty and significance of American currency, backhand index pointing right, this video is for you. Let's get started with the first coin. Magnifying glass tilted left money bag. The story of the 2021 P. Washington quarter begins in a world where physical money still exists alongside digital payments, where coins are no longer just tools of commerce but artifacts of a moment in time. In 2021, the United States struck millions of these quarters at the Philadelphia Mint to serve the daily needs of a modern economy. Vending machines, toll booths, laundromats, little transactions that form the rhythm of everyday life. On the surface, these coins looked ordinary, yet hidden within that ordinary exterior lies the potential for something extraordinary. On the obverse of the coin is the familiar profile of George Washington, a face etched not just in metal but in the collective memory of a nation. Washington's portrait on the quarter has been a steady presence since 1932, a reminder of the ideals that launched the Republic and the enduring voice of leadership that shaped its path. Holding a 2021 quarter, even today, is a quiet act of historical continuity, a way the past still touches the present with every purchase. The P Mint mark stamped into the surface tells us this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the birthplace of millions of U.S. coins since the earliest days of the Republic. Philadelphia's minting presses have produced some of the most iconic coins in American history, and in 2021 they added millions of quarters to the world's pocket change. Most of these coins would circulate normally, their surfaces dulled by decades of commerce, their details softened by the ebb and flow of life. But in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, there is a deeper truth. Not all coins are created equal. Many 2021 P quarters are common, worn from circulation and valued at face value. Yet among this massive mintage can exist rare survivors and unusual pieces that escape the daily grind, preserving their original beauty in ways that would make collectors' hearts race. Imagine walking into a bank, asking for rolls of quarters, and pulling out a 2021 P coin that still glows with mint luster. Its surfaces shimmer, its details are sharp, and the light seems to dance off its fields. This is what collectors call a mint state survivor, a coin that has avoided the wear and tear of pockets and cash drawers for years. In a world where most coins are used and forgotten, such preservation is rare and precious. But rarity is not just about brilliance. It is about stories and surprises, those tiny variations that slip through the minting process unnoticed by most, yet become legends among enthusiasts. A slight difference in strike, a subtle planchet anomaly, even an unexpected minting error. These quirks can elevate a coin from ordinary to remarkable, transforming metal into mystery and then into money of a most serious kind. Collectors talk about condition with reverence because a coin's state of preservation can be everything. A 2021 P quarter that looks brand new, with no scratches or wear, is already uncommon after circulation. But a quarter that is gem quality, near perfect, untouched by human handling, becomes something much more compelling. These coins look like time stopped the moment they left the mint, unbothered by decades of everyday life. And then there are the anomalies, the pieces that make collectors whisper with excitement. A slight doubling of letters, a tiny warp in the metal, a luster pattern that seems too sharp. These are the differences that can make a single coin stand out among millions. To the untrained eye, they might look insignificant, but to a collector they are the marks of individuality, the fingerprints of history that make each coin a potential treasure. There is something almost poetic about the way value can hide in plain sight. A coin that passed through dozens of hands without a second glance may, years later, be recognized as something extraordinary. The thrill of discovery, the moment when someone realizes that what they held in their palm is not just pocket change but a collector's gem, is what drives the passion for coin collecting around the world. Imagine finding such a coin in a jar of mixed change, or at the bottom of an old drawer. The initial glance makes it seem ordinary, but under careful eyes and close light, it begins to reveal its splendor. The edges remain crisp, the relief pristine, the surfaces free from wear. In that moment, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the finder's heart leaps with the thrill of discovery. Collectors don't just value coins for monetary gain, they value them for the stories they carry. Each 2021 P. Washington quarter in pristine condition holds a narrative of survival, a story of slipping through the decades unblemished, of escaping the wear that defines most circulated coins, and of becoming something worthy of admiration rather than mere exchange. In auction houses and numismatic forums, whispers grow into conversations, conversations into excitement, and excitement into bids. A coin that is rare by condition or unique by characteristic can command prices that make people gasp. Figures far above its face value, far beyond what anyone would have imagined when it was first minted. These are the moments when coins stop being small pieces of metal and become symbols of possibility. But what gives this coin real emotional power is not simply its potential monetary value. It's the bridge it creates between everyday life and something greater than itself. The reminder that even the most mundane objects can carry stories worth telling. A quarter that once bought a soda or paid for parking can, in another hand and another time, become a keeper of history. The 2021 P quarter reminds us that value is not always obvious. It teaches patience, curiosity, and reverence for detail. What looks ordinary to one person can look extraordinary to another who knows how to see. To look past surface, past familiarity, to the deeper echoes of journey and survival. Collectors often speak about moments of realization, that breathless pause when someone recognizes the treasure in their hands. That moment is electric, filled with possibility. The coin that seemed commonplace becomes the coin that defines a collection, alters a market, or even changes a life. And it begins with looking closely, noticing what others overlook, and believing that value can indeed be hidden in plain sight. In the end, the 2021 P. Washington quarter is more than a coin. It is a reminder that history lives in small things, that stories travel farther than metal, and that every piece of change carries a legacy of hands, moments, and memories. For the fortunate finder who discovers an exceptional example, whether by condition, rarity, or unusual feature, that ordinary quarter may one day be recognized not only as beautiful, but as a treasure with the power to astonish, to inspire, and perhaps, in rare cases, to transform a life in the blink of an eye. Next coin. The story of American coinage is more than metal struck with images. It is a reflection of identity, memory, and the changing soul of a nation. Two coins, issued more than 2 centuries apart, represent distinct chapters in that ongoing story. The first is the Delaware State Quarter, bearing the date 1788, the year Delaware became the first state to ratify the Constitution, and minted for circulation in 1999 with a D mint mark. The second is the 2000 D Sacagawea dollar, struck in Philadelphia with its warm golden color and historical symbolism. These coins, though different in denomination and design, share a deeper narrative about how small pieces of metal can hold big meanings. The Delaware State Quarter was the very first in the modern state quarters program, a bold initiative that invited Americans to reconnect with the roots of the Republic through everyday currency. When the first of these coins exited the mint in 1999, it carried more than a face value of 25 cents. It carried the story of Delaware, the first state, forever etched into the fabric of modern circulation. That quarter traveled into pockets and purses across a nation, carrying a piece of heritage wherever it went. On its reverse, the Delaware quarter depicts a colonial cart drawn by horses, wheat sheaves tied down, and a farmer's plow. Images evoking the history of settlement, agriculture, and early American life. The date 1788 rings boldly beneath the horse and plow, a reminder that the Union began with that decisive first step. Most Americans simply spent these quarters in everyday transactions, but collectors and history lovers saw something deeper. Each coin was a tiny monument to the nation's beginnings. The D mint mark on the Delaware State Quarter tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility emblematic of the spread of U.S. coin production far beyond the early years of the Republic. Denver's machines produced millions of these quarters for a hungry economy, yet among them are rare survivors. Coins that have retained their original brilliance without succumbing to the friction of decades of use. These are the coins that excite collectors, not merely because they are old, but because they survived unblemished. And then came the Sacagawea dollar, first released in 2000, part of a new story about inclusion and identity. Where the Delaware quarter looked back to the nation's founding, the Sacagawea dollar looked forward while remembering voices that had gone unheard. On the obverse, Sacagawea strides confidently, her infant son secured on her back, a symbol of guidance, resilience, and the essential role she played in the Lewis and Clark expedition. The coin's golden color makes it unmistakable in any pocket or cash drawer. The 2000 D Sacagawea dollar was struck at the Denver Mint, linking it geographically to the quarter, Yet thematically the two coins could not be more different. One honors a state's birth. The other honors a woman whose journey helped chart the nation's expansion. At first, Sacagawea dollars were not widely embraced in commerce. Their size and color confused many, but for collectors and historians, they represent a powerful intersection of heritage and art. Like the Delaware quarter, most Sacagawea dollars entered circulation and were quickly worn by everyday use. Their once bright surfaces dulled with time, their edges softened by countless exchanges, and their stories diluted by routine spending. Yet just as with the 1999 quarter, some 2000 Sacagawea dollars slipped out of circulation early and remained tucked safely away, in coin folders, drawers, albums, and forgotten jars. It's these survivors that fuel dreams of discovery. Both coins remind us that survival, not just age, is the quiet spark of value. A coin that retains its original luster after decades is a rarity in a world where most currency is meant to be spent. When a 1999 Delaware quarter still glows with crisp surfaces, or a 2000 Sacagawea dollar still shines like a sliver of gold, collectors see more than metal. They see endurance, they see mystery, they see possibility. And possibility is a powerful force in the coin market. Stories circulate of collectors finding near-mint survivors in the most unexpected places. In old change jars, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers. The thrill of unearthing a coin that escaped wear, that still looks as though it was struck yesterday, is a kind of treasure hunt that electrifies even casual enthusiasts. Beyond preservation, there is the allure of variation. Every mint run has slight differences, a softer strike here, a tiny surface variation there, that may be invisible to most eyes but become points of fascination for numismatists. These minute differences can elevate a coin from interesting to legendary, from collectible to coveted, especially when confirmed by professional grading. In the case of the Delaware quarter and the Sacagawea dollar, rare high-grade examples are the stuff of legend. A flawless Delaware quarter from 1999, untouched by wear, represents the opening moment of a beloved national series. A pristine 2000 Sacagawea dollar, with its golden sheen and sharp details, reflects both artistic success and historical profundity. In both cases, the story behind the coin amplifies its value. Collectors are not chasing metal. They are chasing story. They are chasing the connection between the image on the coin and the narrative it represents. The Delaware quarter carries the spirit of beginnings, of the first state boldly stepping into a new union. The Sacagawea dollar carries a message of guidance and exploration, inscribed with the echoes of a woman who helped shape the nation's expansion, even as she stood beside her child on an arduous, uncertain path. As time passes and more coins wear into indistinct discs, the few that retain their brilliance become ever more precious. In the numismatic world, condition is king, and rarity is its queen. A coin that looks nearly new after decades becomes not just a relic, but a trophy, a material story that connects the past with the present so vividly that it feels alive in the hand. Yet the emotional value of these coins extends beyond auctions and price tags. They remind us that history lives in the everyday, and that ordinary objects can carry extraordinary meaning. A quarter spent on a candy bar in 1999 or a dollar exchanged for a soda in 2000 may now be treasured for reasons no one imagined at the time of its minting. In that transformation lies the magic of numismatics. And for those rare individuals who discover an exceptional example of either coin, uncirculated, brilliantly preserved, or carrying an unusual variation, the moment of realization can be breathtaking. It can be the instant when a hobby becomes a passion, when a collection becomes a legacy, and when possibility leaps into reality. The 1999 Delaware quarter and the 2000 Sacagawea dollar stand as silent witnesses to the sweep of American life. One rooted in the foundation of union, the other in the journey of exploration and identity. They are reminders that even the humblest coin can contain stories as vast as the land it represents and as deep as the human experiences it reflects. In the end, these coins teach us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for the attentive eye, the curious mind, and the patient heart. A coin that once passed without notice can one day astonish, inspire, and, in the rarest of cases, change a fortune overnight. Next coin. The story of the 2022 P. Washington quarter begins not in a museum case or a vault, but in the everyday rhythm of American life, jingling in pocket change, slipping into cash registers, and passed from hand to hand in moments so ordinary they barely register. In 2022, physical coins still mattered in the background of a world increasingly digital. Quarter after quarter, year after year, coins continued to be the small, tangible connectors between people and moments. paying for a cup of coffee, feeding a parking meter, tipping a busker, or buying candy for a child. In that everyday exchange, this quarter began its journey, unaware that, hidden among millions of others, a few might one day be recognized as astonishingly rare. On the obverse of the coin stands George Washington, his dignified profile engraved with care, his expression timeless. Washington, as the first president of the United States, represents a foundation of leadership and continuity that echoes across centuries. In 2022, the nation and the world were worlds away from 1789, yet his image endured, a reminder of origins, ideals, and a story that began long before the modern era. Every time someone held this coin, they touched a fragment of that heritage, often without realizing it. Philadelphia's mint mark, the little P stamped beneath the date, tells us precisely where this coin was struck. The historic Philadelphia Mint, the oldest minting facility in the nation. Philadelphia has been a birthplace for American coinage since the founding era, producing coins that traveled to the farthest reaches of the young republic and now to a globally connected 21st century. In 2022 alone, the Mint produced millions of Washington quarters to meet everyday needs, and among those millions were pieces that carried not just monetary worth, but heavy layers of meaning. To most people, the 2022 P quarter was just change. Common, expected, and quickly spent. It might have bought a soda, paid for playground tokens, or been lost under couch cushions within days. Yet, in the world of coin collectors, every coin is seen as a possibility. Not all are rare, not all are valuable, but every coin has the potential to tell a story, and some, against astronomical odds, carry histories that demand attention and admiration. The vast majority of 2022 quarters wear their years openly. They are scratched, rubbed, dulled by friction, and marked by the countless hands that used them. But in that where lies a kind of poetry. Coins that move through time, linking transactions, memories, and moments that would otherwise go unnoticed. And yet, it is precisely the lack of where that turns some coins into astonishing finds. In a sea of circulated examples, rare mint state survivors gleam like hidden stars. Collectors use words like brilliant, gem, and uncirculated to describe coins that have escaped the roughness of everyday life. A 2022 P Washington quarter that still bears its original luster, sharp edges, and crisp details is like a time capsule. A coin that somehow slid out of circulation early and remained untouched in a collection, drawer, or forgotten jar. These survivors are uncommon, and that scarcity is the beating heart of their allure. And then there are the whispers, the conversations that take place in collector circles, in auctions, and at coin shows, about subtle variations and minting nuances. In any massive mint run, slight differences can occur. Tiny deviations in die impressions, faint doubling of lettering, minor surface anomalies that often go unnoticed by casual users but are treasures to the trained eye. These variations, sometimes nearly invisible without magnification, can elevate an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The idea that a quiet little quarter from 2022 could someday be worth far more than its face value is not born out of speculation alone, but out of the very nature of how markets and collectors value rarity and condition. When a coin survives decades without losing its vitality, without softening, scratching, or fading, it becomes a marker of time's passage and resistance. Such coins are sought after not because they command attention, but because they defy expectation. Imagine someone opening an old coin album inherited from a relative, dusting off a collection that hasn't been touched in years, and discovering among the mixed coins a 2022 P quarter that glows with unspoiled brilliance. The edges are still sharp. The light dances on its surfaces. The details stand untouched by time. In that moment of discovery, when ordinary change becomes extraordinary treasure, the thrill that sweeps through the finder is as much about wonder as it is about worth. Collectors know that fortune sometimes hides where you least expect it. Under couch cushions, in coin jars, tucked in drawers, or inside the back pocket of an old pair of jeans. These are the places where survival happens by accident, not intention. And when someone encounters a coin they had never considered significant, only to realize its rarity and potential market value, that moment can be life-altering. Yet the value of these coins, even at their most astonishing, is not rooted in precious metal content. Modern Washington quarters are not struck in silver for general circulation. Instead, their allure comes from condition, rarity, and story. A 2022 P quarter that somehow survived uncirculated, or one with a significant mint error or unusual striking characteristic, carries a narrative that collectors are eager to pursue, and sometimes willing to pay dearly to secure. In numismatic terms, every coin is a story waiting to be read. The worn edges speak of journeys through hands and cities and pockets. The gleaming surfaces of pristine coins speak of time untouched. And sometimes, a tiny anomaly, a slight doubling of a letter, a subtle off-center strike, a rare die variation, becomes the defining moment that separates a common coin from a coveted one. As collectors chase these stories, they also chase legacy, the kind that turns everyday objects into artifacts of meaning. A coin that was once used to buy a newspaper in 2022 can, decades later, be valued not just for its scarcity, but for the memories and connections it carries, woven through the lives of people who never knew it would one day be something special. The collector's pursuit is not only about wealth. It is about wonder. It is about the unexpected thrill of discovery, the recognition that hidden in plain sight sometimes lie objects of deep significance. A 2022 P quarter, ordinary to the untrained eye, can become a testament to patience, observation, and historical appreciation when seen through a collector's lens. And while most 2022 quarters will remain at or near face value, used, worn, and passed along, the rare few that survive in remarkable condition, or that carry unique characteristics, enter a rarefied world. In that world, value is measured not just in dollars but in stories. Stories of survival, stories of discovery, stories of the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. In the end, the 2022 P Washington quarter is more than a small disc of metal. It is a quiet witness to everyday American life. To change paid, errands run, memories made. It is a reminder that even the humblest objects can contain depth, and that sometimes, the smallest coins can hold the greatest potential, the richest stories, and the power to astonish those who know how to look deeply and treasure what time has preserved. Next coin. The story of the 2018 P Washington quarter begins where all great stories of hidden value begin. In the everyday, the ordinary, the overlooked. In 2018, the United States was a nation flowing with digital transactions, contactless payments, and the quiet fading of cash from daily life. Yet coins remained in pockets and purses, jangled in change trays, and slipped into toll machines, bus slots, and coin jars. Among those coins was the Washington quarter, a piece of metal most people barely noticed. And yet, within that sea of ordinary change, some quarters hold the power to astonish. On the obverse of the coin stands George Washington, his profile dignified and steady. His image on the quarter has endured since 1932, a silent symbol of leadership and continuity that ties the nation's earliest days to its modern present. To hold one of these coins in your hand is to touch the echo of history, even if most people spend them without a second thought. Washington's face is familiar, a comforting presence on a tiny disc of metal that nonetheless travels wide and far. The P Mint mark tells us this particular quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a place steeped in American history. Philadelphia is the oldest minting facility in the nation, and coins that bear its mark carry with them that legacy. From colonial beginnings to the bustling modern economy, the Mint has etched tiny pages of history into millions upon millions of coins that have circulated for decades. Yet in 2018, no one would have guessed that some of these coins might one day be viewed as treasures. Most 2018 P Washington quarters began life like any other coin. Mundane, functional, destined to pay for parking meters, toll booths, or a child's candy. They slid into wallets, jangled in pockets, and were forgotten in coin jars. Most were worn down by everyday use, their detail softened, their surfaces dulled by the friction of commerce. Yet among these countless coins, a rare few avoided that messy dance with time. Numismatists, people who study and collect coins, know a deep truth. Condition is everything. A coin that survives decades without losing its original sheen is a rare miracle. Coins that are still crisp, that catch the light with a whisper of their original mint luster, are the ones that collectors covet. And in 2018, while millions of quarters were spent and forgotten, some were tucked away, untouched by wear, spared from circulation, and preserved almost as if time stood still. Imagine stumbling upon a 2018 P quarter whose surfaces still gleam with the clarity of fresh mint metal. Every ridge on Washington's profile stands sharp, the lettering crisp, the field smooth and luminous. To the untrained eye, it might look like a freshly struck coin, but to the collector who recognizes rarity, that moment feels electric. It's the kind of discovery that sends a thrill up the spine, the thrill that someday, the ordinary can become extraordinary. Collectors don't just chase old coins. They follow the possibility of survival and story. A quarter that has endured decades in mint condition, unseen by circulation, becomes something like a time capsule, a piece of 2018 frozen in perpetuity. These coins are not common. They are the exceptions, the survivors, rare glimmers in a sea of worn metal. And then there is the fascination with subtle variations. In any mass production run, tiny nuances can occur. Slight differences in die alignment, mild planchet inconsistencies, or minute-striking peculiarities. What might seem like a trivial variation to a casual holder can be a dramatic discovery to someone who studies coins closely. These traits whisper of minting quirks that occurred only a handful of times, elevating some specimens into the realm of legend. The emotional pull of the 2018 P. Washington Quarter isn't just about condition or rarity, it's about connection. People love to imagine that somewhere, buried in a forgotten jar of change or tucked inside an old wallet, lies a coin that escaped time's wear. The idea that someone might look at an unremarkable piece of change and suddenly see something extraordinary gives this humble coin a kind of mythic potential. There are stories in the coin world of extraordinary finds. Coins pulled from circulation decades later that turn out to be surprisingly pristine, or coins with subtle anomalies that transform them from regular currency into prized collectibles. These tales fuel the dreams of collectors young and old, because they speak to the idea that hidden treasure might lie where no one expects it. But rarity alone is only half the story. A coin's true power lies in its narrative, the story it carries from mint to pocket to discovery. A 2018 P quarter that survived untouched is a testament to time, chance, and circumstance. It tells a story of survival against odds, of days and years passing while it retained its brilliance. And it whispers possibility to anyone who picks it up and wonders what secrets it holds. In the modern collector market, coins are valued not just for age, but for condition, rarity, and the emotional resonance they carry. When someone finds a nearly perfect example of a coin that was once everyday currency, it is not merely about financial value, it is about the connection to history, to the hands that never spent it, and to the eyes that now see its beauty. Collectors and enthusiasts understand that a seemingly ordinary coin can become a remarkable find when context and condition align. A pristine 2018 P. Washington Quarter can be more than pocket change. It can be an artifact, a conversation piece, and a treasure. Coins like this bridge ordinary life with extraordinary possibility. Imagine a coin that sat forgotten in a drawer for years, uncirculated, untouched, waiting for someone to finally take it out and see it for what it truly is. A rare survivor, a piece that defied everyday use, and a bridge between then and now. That moment of realization, when someone recognizes that a coin in their hand is something special, is the heartbeat of coin collecting. It's the thrill of discovery. And while most 2018 P quarters will remain common and unremarkable, the few that have survived with remarkable condition and clarity have captured the imagination of collectors. Their value is not just in what they can fetch at auction, but in the way they remind us that treasures sometimes hide in plain sight, waiting patiently for someone with the right eye to notice them. In a world where digital currency is increasingly dominant, where money is often no longer physical, these shining relics of metal remind us of the value held in touch, shine, and story. They remind us that even something as small and ordinary as a quarter can carry memory, beauty, and potential that transcends its humble face value. In the end, a pristine 2018 P. Washington Quarter is more than a coin. It is a story of time, of chance, of survival. It is a testament to the idea that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest wonders. For someone who discovers such a coin in breathtaking condition, it may not just be a collectible. It might be a reminder that hidden value still exists in the places we least expect, and that sometimes, ordinary things can reveal extraordinary secrets.